An exclusive look now at the surveillance video that captures a plane crashing at the Palatka Municipal Airport. It took the lives of Kimberly and David Niblett.
The husband and wife who had just stopped by for fuel on the night of July 26 when their plane started to nosedive shortly after takeoff. Our Shelby Danielson is digging deeper tonight as this becomes the 11th single-engine plane crash on the First Coast just in the last year.
This new video is going to play a key part in NTSB's investigation, which is still ongoing. And we know that the preliminary report has been released showing the facts of what happened, but the exact cause of the crash is yet to be determined.
He exceeded what was required to authorize to fly that aircraft.
Airport manager John Ewell says it remains a mystery as to what led to any problems. You can see the plane start to spiral down at about 150 feet after takeoff. NTSB says its last inspection was just 2 weeks prior. This marks the 5th single-engine plane crash in Putnam County in the last year, and the 3rd one at this airport.
Just no common cause that we can link any of these accidents together.
Ewell says the recent string of plane crashes across Putnam County are unrelated.
I think it's just a tragic 3 events in a short period of time.
In the last 2 decades, the NTSB has investigated 18 crashes across Florida involving a Piper PA-24. The causes all vary from weather conditions to pilot error to engine failure. As for the Nibletts, according to their obituary, their family says, together they had a great love of flying. David was the pilot, Kimberly the right seat. They were building their own airplane, another opportunity to spend time together. Finding that exact cause of the crash could take several months. Operations here, though, are back to normal now. The family has asked for privacy during this time. In Palatka, Shelby Danielson, First Coast News, on your side.